we are, and welcome to a live talk with Becky Chernek. And I got to tell you, tonight is going to be a special evening. I've got a terrific lady on with me tonight, Susan Wooley, and she is the Vice President of Sales. And there's nothing better when I can bring on a female that's been in the automotive industry, who has worked in the trenches and understands what it takes, what it takes to impact sales and performance. So this is going to be a fun evening, very interactive. We have a lot of folks that will be joining us tonight. So I want to make sure that we check out the chat and also be able to respond to some of their questions that they'll have tonight. But before we get started, for those that may not know who I am Becky Chernek. And I've been providing the very best in finance and insurance training for auto dealers throughout the USA. Sometimes you guys can find me in Canada, but I got to tell you, I have workshops in dealership training, customized in dealership training, and it's not just F&I. Okay, so it's also, I train up sales staff. I also train up on presentations, overcoming objections, but especially on the sales desk. Because we know on the sales desk, that's where all the action happens, right? That's where it all starts. And believe me when I tell you, that is the place where we maximize sales and performance. Okay, so here, listen up, guys. We are going live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and now X. I am super excited about X. Oh my goodness gracious, this is going to be so super fun. All right, so I have got Miss Susan on tonight with us. Susan, for dealers and viewers, share, if you wouldn't mind, your background, how you got started in the car business.
Wow, Becky, I loved that intro. Thank you so much. And just thank you for having me. I'm just so grateful to be connected with you. I just love how we met and that we're here today doing this. So I just want to say thank you. I got started in the car business 20 years ago, actually, as a young mom, wife, straight out of high school. I decided I cannot let my young husband and I be supported strictly by him. So I decided I would go sell cars. Well, I just had this great experience, rising to the top really quickly, just realizing, wow, I found something I'm really naturally good at, found a niche, and just soared to the top, always moving on to the next position very quickly. And by the time I was 20 years old, I was 93% closing ratios, then getting into F&I later down the road. And by the time I was 23, I was actually running subprime for Ford's #1 dealer in Houston. 4 months into that, became #1 in the country, and just phenomenal experiences. And a lot of it just I attribute to the people that I worked for, the people I worked around. But yeah, I've worked for World Class Automotive, Keating Automotive Group, Foundation Automotive, all groups out of Texas. Very great dealers.
Oh, they're fantastic dealers. Volume dealers is what you find in Texas. Are you kidding? Texas tea. I have been to some of those Texas dealers, and they are aggressive. They don't mess around. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's either Texas or California, right? California dealers go, well, you just don't know the car business unless you do car sales in California. I don't know. They might want to go ahead and take a ride.
Yeah, I know someone that might challenge that. I like that you brought up California. However, I just know as Texans, we don't play around. We know how to just get things done, and are just willing to do whatever it takes. So, and that's the key, is being willing to do what it takes for your customers, and just having that trait, being someone that always knew just how to get things done, whether it's for myself at a young age. I really started out learning how to earn money by coming up with ways to pay for my own gymnastics lessons at the age of 11. Um,
Wow.
and so just, I always knew how to just provide for myself. And I'm very grateful to have the good work ethics I had in my dad. And my mom always telling me no, that she wasn't going to pay for the sports I wanted to do. I was always coming up with a new sport I wanted until I finally decided I was going to make my own money to pay for it. So,
Well, here's how I see it. I grew up in the car business myself. My father was a car dealer, so you know, I would say that I earned my wings from my dad, right? I would say that, and I did. And I hung out
amazing.
at the dealership, and I certainly had to pay my dues there. But I say that in a fond way. But later on, I went to school, and unfortunately, during that period of time, my father was sick and had lung cancer and passed away. So. Um,
I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, yeah. I look back on that and I wish he could have been with me longer. I
Mm.
do. I wish that there's that time in life that you really have to cherish those moments. We take them for granted, but I
Yeah.
give anything for him to be here and see where I would have become, right? And that to me would be super special. But from there, I went on to I'm in school, and I thought, you know what, I can't do this. I gotta go make a living, and I'm gonna go sell cars. And everyone and their mother said, "You're selling cars? That you don't you know that females don't do well in the car business? This is not something that you do." And I decided they didn't know what they were talking about. Only I did. And I was going to make, I said, look, if it was good enough for my dad, it's good enough for me. I'm making this happen. And I did.
No wonder we get along.
I didn't take no for an answer. And it's too easy sometimes to take no for an answer and listen to everybody else, right? And I probably have
Mhm.
done a little bit more of that too much in my life, is listening to everybody else telling me, don't do this or that or the other.
Mhm.
Or I think sometimes you just have to go with what your gut
Mhm.
instinct. You got to know that, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this. And I ended up doing pretty well with it, despite everybody telling me otherwise. But so I'm super excited that you're on tonight, and we are talking about people in the car business, and also about you know you and I both have a tremendous background experience in automotive retail, in
Mhm.
finance, and I want to take a deeper dive when it comes into what we're doing as far as um, F&I, and not only that, but in what we're doing in desking, in sales. And I don't think we focus enough on the desk. I don't think we have or focused on what needs to happen to impact performance at the desk. I think we focus a lot in F&I. We have all the numbers, we have all the performance, we have our product providers who are coming into the dealership working with their F&I people. But someone tell me who's work few and far between. I know that we have some that are working at the desk, but few and far between.
Mhm.
And I think we need to focus at the desk. That's where it all starts. Someone told me, Becky, isn't that where the sales tower used to be? Why did they call it the sales tower?
I was told that it was called the tower because it was where they sat up higher to look out. They could see the lot, they could see the floor, they could see what's going all around them. If somebody's pulling into the lot, leaving the lot, you know, it's the watchtower, it's the command post.
The command post, that's it. That's right. It's the command post. It aligns with sales. It aligns with service. It aligns with what goes on in F&I. Let's not kid ourselves. It all aligns. And
Mhm.
with what goes on, it's the hub of the dealership.
Mhm.
That's exactly right. The sales tower has always been that, whether it be high, low, whatever. The
Right.
the reality of it is it dictates what's happening in our sales. It dictates, like it or not, what happens in F&I.
Mhm.
And so I think, is important to look at some of these desking strategies and are we doing, or are we maximizing every single potential, every single deal? In your opinion, I mean, you worked as a director of subprime. You've been involved in automotive retail for many years.
Mhm.
What's happening as far as, are we managing these deals as best as we can, maximizing profitability and also sales? Like, for example, we have desk managers
Mhm.
who, and I'm not here to point fingers at anyone. I really am not. But I'd like to really talk about reality. The
Yeah.
reality of it is, are they getting up off the desk, off the sales tower, meeting customers, reviewing the information before they submit the deal? Or are they submitting the deal to whoever that they have to, meaning shotgunning it,
Mhm.
just to get some sort of an approval, no matter what? And then take that approval at face value, give it to the F&I manager to go ahead and deliver. How do you see it?
I definitely don't see the sales managers getting off the desk and going on the floor anymore. I don't see the warm and fuzzies happening in the store that's helping the customers feel like they can trust and stick around. I don't see an understanding of how to work these deals, how to treat these customers, how to maximize not just profitability on deals, but also the number of deals. You know, letting these customers know that they can buy and how. It's a different mindset of every customer that comes on my lot. I paid to get them on my lot, whether it's keeping the lights running. I had to pay to have the lights running for them to show up. They're not going to show up if the lights are out. I had to pay for the marketing. I don't see the um, initiative and the ownership over those people that are coming to our lot can buy. It's a matter of how and when, and it's up to us to coach them, teach them, equip them with the knowledge, and help them understand how. Um, so that personal touch is just missing in a lot of these stores. I haven't witnessed that happen in a very long time at any dealership. And I go in stores all over the country and I just haven't witnessed it. So the personal touch, so from the time the customer arrives to the dealership, the experience is not what the expectation should be. Then from that standpoint, there is a lot of shotgunning happening, which ruins trust. It's not the proper way to do business. And then are they understanding the callbacks that they are receiving? Are they diving into it and helping the customer fulfill those
Mm-hmm.
callbacks? And I feel like it's a lot of a lack of understanding, a lack of training. There's so many pieces to it.
Well, I think it's important. And again, I'm on this mission. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm on this mission because I'm looking at the business over the years and where we're
Mhm.
at. Where does it make the most sense to impact dealers dealers performance? Where does it all begin?
Mhm.
Where is the root of it all? The root right now is that dealers are giving the keys to the kingdom. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I see it. To these desk managers. And they run amok with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't doing their due diligence. They're not being held accountable. Not everyone. I'm not talking about everyone. In fact, I have very talented desk managers I work with, and we have conversations. And it's like, Becky, I get it completely. I completely agree with you. In stores throughout this, it just
Mm-hmm.
blows me away that a dealer is going to go give the keys to the kingdom to a desk manager who may or may not have had previous F&I training. Then they've had previous F&I training or been in the box for a while, have forgotten what it's like to be in the box for a while, and do not understand the lender guidelines. um, Hell, they even have a hard enough time penciling a deal straight. And so I think it's important for dealers to get back to the fundamentals, and first and foremost, making a point to hold some of these guys accountable because
Exactly.
they start the deal.
You hit the nail on the head. It starts with the dealer and what expectations, what guidelines, what processes are expected to follow with zero tolerance. It should be done. It's a simple and repeatable process every time. The way we treat the customer should be done the same every time. The way we review what credit pulls were done yesterday, what customers came on our showroom yesterday, should be done every time. I feel like it's a combination of lack of training, lack of expectations. Also, we have to take into consideration too, we're just coming out of a time where it was tough just to get people to even work across the entire country. Dealers were full, they were shy of enough people. And the
Mhm.
people that were there, they were struggling to get them to work too. And they were afraid to hold them accountable because they knew that they may walk and then they may not have that extra body that they desperately need. And now we're out of this time where they have no choice but to get back to the basics if they want to be profitable again, because the layovers, the layups aren't happening. Now you actually have to be aggressive again. So it's the perfect time to be having this conversation.
I think so too. And I'm not trying to pick on anyone in
Right.
particular. I think we all know who's doing what where. I think we all know that, hey, I'm submitting a deal at face value. We're not validating it. It's just we'll get the best call and then we send it to the F&I person. I'm also not
Mhm.
really impressed, if you will, with what's going on in F&I. I mean, I don't get it why we have
Mhm.
to build technology to circumvent what should be taking place with an F&I person going out and meeting and greeting a customer to validate a transaction. I don't get it. It's like me fingernails on the chalkboard. You want to go ahead and frustrate the heck out of me. Well, you know what? The reason why I'll say I understand things change in the way we do stuff. I get that. But there's certain basics to a deal, the art of the sale. You tell me where that went to. Where the heck did that go to? We have a certain due diligence that we
Mhm.
have to apply to impact sales and performance. It's really that simple. It's
Yes.
like, why wouldn't I be out there as an F&I? No, really, why would I be out there as an F&I person validating that transaction, making sure it's straight before I
Mhm.
take a deal into the F&I office, and then I got to do, hey, I want to make sure that I got my guns loaded. I don't care how you hear that, but the
Exactly.
reality of it is I want to make sure I am ready to go. That I
Mhm.
do my menu presentation, I have nothing that I have to be concerned about, no monkey on my back that I have to be concerned about that is going to prevent me from going all in. to do the best menu presentation, to overcome objections, do what I'm there to do. I can't take it anymore. I've got a deal. No, I'm serious. It's
I
ridiculous.
know, I'm with you.
Am I,
I'm with you.
right? It just, why? And then we have these deals making their way. It happens all the time. Deals are making their way into that F&I office. I don't have full coverage insurance. I have an expired driver's license. I don't have a freaking title to a car. I have
Mhm.
nothing. And
The
then
mileage is wrong, the VIN's wrong,
I don't even have a checklist.
the customer's income isn't right, the
We
address
even
doesn't match.
validate that. And you know what? We don't even validate that. And that deal goes down. And guess what? It sits
Mhm.
on the CIT list. That's the
And now
truth.
your unit drove off the lot, may have
That's
been
the
way too
reality of it.
may have been way too much unit too to be off your lot in that customer's hands, and you just let it go free. You don't even know if you're going to get it back. Do you know how many times I saw us write off 70,000 plus a month, multiple stores because of this very issue? And not
Oh,
only are we costing ourselves money by doing this,
mhm.
but it also goes back to the same conversation about that personal touch. You're giving so much value add just by coming out of the box, coming out, introducing yourself, letting that customer know who's about to be handling their paperwork, building that trust, saying, "Hi, Becky. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm Susan. I'm going to be preparing your paperwork. I just want to come and introduce myself and make sure that you're comfortable. Do you need anything? How about some water, a snack? Here's some coloring books for your children. It's just going to take me maybe 10 or 15 minutes, but I want to make sure this is done correctly. So let's review this information that George provided us to make sure we didn't miss anything. Make sure, that we give the best information we can to the bank, because I want this to be a smooth process for you so that your experience with us is a smooth transition. You don't have to come back. We don't have to call you and bug you for more documents later. I want to make sure it's done right today. Are you okay with that? Because I know I want to make sure it's done right for you. And then, you might find more income. You
Well, here's the thing, and
you
I
don't
I
know.
know some of these guys are gonna think, "Becky, you are such a pain." We love you, but you're a pain,
Well, we're
and
women.
only
We're going to be a
right,
pain.
because I've been there, I've done it, I know. It's like, why would I not validate the deal to make sure it's correct so that I can just bring a customer back 2 and 3 times over?
Well, and what's better, 5 minutes up front of work
Mhm.
to have a funded deal
Yeah.
versus saving 5 minutes on the front to have a deal that's hung up on CIT that may never fund, that maybe you have to get back and recontract. Now you're talking about extra days of work, hours of work, unnecessary headaches when you could have just known in advance.
So being in some of the stores that you are, do they enforce some of this behavior? Are they enforcing, hey, we understand the value behind meeting customers earlier on. Your job is to be out there reviewing this transaction. The only you can have the come to Jesus meeting. We know the deal is sitting on CIT. How did it get on CIT? How did that happen? Are you taking the deal prematurely? Are you doing your due diligence, reviewing the transaction? Now, that doesn't mean that the desk is off the hook. I'm over that too, by the way. All I'm saying is, as an F&I person, I'm going to do my due diligence in making sure that I at least have my ducks in a row.
I think there's too
But
much
it doesn't
emphasis.
take the sales manager off the hook.
There's too much emphasis on booking the deal for the day and not enough emphasis on what happens tomorrow and us actually getting paid on this deal. My focus, and I attribute some of my success to my focus, was not about what is this doing for my numbers this month. It was always making sure that these sales guys get paid. That was always my primary focus. If they weren't going to get paid, then we weren't going to do the deal, because they're the ones bringing me the deal. I have to have that buy-in, right? I
Yeah.
have to have their trust to be the next F&I that gets that turn with the deal or on the desk or whatever the case is. They have a choice, and you do have to get buy-in from the different departments, from even the people that you work right there with, even though they're getting paid as well. And that's the number one goal for me, was always making sure that my guys are getting paid, and I have to have the deal clean. Otherwise they're not getting paid. And so, and there's definitely the frustration of, this is taking an extra few minutes. But once they understand your process, once you go through that slight adjustment, it's a smooth oiled machine, and everybody's rocking and rolling and making money, and everybody's happy.
Well,
And
I think everybody has to be held accountable for um,
yeah.
the role. I mean, what their role is. I think that we have to define the role, and we have to lay
Mhm.
that role out and make sure that everyone has a really good understanding as to who does what where.
Exactly.
What is your
And that's
role?
what's
And being held accountable, because that's not happening.
that's what's not happening.
I mean, it's
That's
really not happening.
No.
It's like it's been loosey goosey since
Hmm.
2000, since COVID. It's
Exactly.
and maybe before that
It
somewhat,
was before that even.
right? But
Hmm.
now it's just gotten to a point. It's just it's just like a bit, hopefully, a wake up call. It's like, okay, you want to impact performance. The only way I know how to impact performance is that everyone is accountable to what their responsibility, what their role is. What is your
Exactly.
role? What are you supposed to do, Mr. Desk Manager? For me, I mean, and again, I'm not picking on him or her. I'm not. I am just saying, how in the world can you say you're doing your due diligence when you can't even have an OFAC, or you can't even do an ID verification to make sure that the deal is straight, or even, I don't know, a checklist, maybe even a checklist, so that we know that the deal is straight before the deal makes its way into F&I. And then we say, okay, F&I, it's all your fault. It's all your fault.
Hmm.
You needed to go out there, do the interview. And I've told him, until the cows come home, get out there, do the interview, make sure this stuff is straight before you take that customer into the F&I office. And yet that can't even happen. I think we might even have, let's see, Manny.
Oh,
Hey, good to see
hey,
you, man.
Manny. Oh, that's
What
one
do
of
you have
my
to say about all
longtime.
this, Manny?
He is a good guy right there. That's one of my longtime buddies. We worked together back in Houston when I was running the F&I. He's a really great person there. Hey,
Hey,
Manny,
Manny,
thanks
what
for
do you have to
joining us.
say about all this? Are we just I mean, here we are we just beating up on some of these desk managers and F&I people too much? Or are we just, we got to let, just kind of like roll with the punches, girls. Let's just make things happen. And good to be on. Good to have you here.
Good to have you here. Yeah, there's a lack of accountability across departments and roles. And, there are great dealers out there that do have that hands-on approach to their stores, that are still active and are participating in what's going on. But unfortunately, I'm just not seeing it enough. I'm seeing too much of the autonomy, right? So you have the corporate structures that are giving autonomy to the GMs or managing partners. And then you have the GMs or managing partners giving that autonomy to their desk and their F&I, but there's that lack of accountability. And maybe they're happy because they're making money, but how much money are they leaving on the table? How much business are they letting walk? Manny's bringing up the checklist, that he thinks that the checklists are
I
important.
think you bring up a great point. I think the
Yeah.
checklists are important, right?
The
And
checklists are my favorite things because it's the easiest way to stay on track. You should be able to look at a deal with a glance and say, this is missing this, when we get this step, we'll have the deal funded. When we get this step, we'll have the deal booked. So, whatever the case is, you cannot, how much work are you reworking? How much extra time are you spending having to go and refigure out every time? Or just, it just doesn't make sense not to have that checklist. I do a checklist personally for myself every single day, even in my processes that I do personally every single morning. I write them down every night because I want to know that I'm checking things off the time from the time I wake up. It's wins to start my day, but it also saves me time on the days that I don't, um, maybe have my mind with it. There's going to be days that I'm thrown into a different direction, and I want to know that I'm able to get back to that list and know what's needed and what's next and what I didn't get to. Well, we need to be able to do that with our deals as well. Oh, hey,
Well,
Matthew.
again, I think, this, let me just say this. I mean, I have been in this deal for a while, and I hope some GMs are really paying attention here and get a clue. And I can tell you how often they try to tell me that a checklist is complete when it's not complete. It's not completed. It's a joke. It's not signed off. There's nothing there. It's like,
They're not
why do you
using
have a
them.
checklist if you can't do a checklist?
They're
And why do
they're
F and
not
I
even using the
allow
checklist.
it to happen? It's just easier to do the deal and not mess with the guys up at the desk. That's the reality. I don't want to deal with these guys up at the desk, Becky. Just easier for me to do
Mm-hmm.
it. The problem when you
Sweep it
do
under the rug, get the deal done and on the street, because then they're going to figure it out later. They pay big time and they're causing so much unnecessary extra work too. And just do it right the first time. And
Yeah,
honestly, a
well,
lot of them
here
don't
again,
have.
I mean, so we have some of this, and I know I'm like, let's just kind of start peeling the onion away,
Mhm.
because we're all at fault here. It's like, okay, we don't have a checklist. Evan I isn't out there doing the interview. You allow it to happen. I trained years back. The minute you take ownership of the deal F and I, you own it.
Yeah.
You took that deal without the checklist. You own this freaking deal. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And that's the ownership of it all. And it's like, stop the madness. I'm not going back to as much as when I was growing up in F&I wasn't a badass. I wasn't the badass. There were other people that were more bad than I was not. But they were. And they were like, Becky, don't take the freaking deal. You throw that freaking deal out. Just throw it out. And they'll get it straight sooner or later. Put them in
Mhm.
the back of the line, and they will get that deal straight. You can't do that today. If in fact I were to go ahead and say to a GM, I'm not taking this deal, it's not straight. You want to know what you're going to get? You take that freaking deal. I don't give a crap what the hell's going on. We're selling cars today.
Mhm.
We don't have the support to
Yeah.
make that happen.
Oh yeah. If
See what else we
I
got. The deal needs to be clean before it goes into the box. Amen. It
Thank
does.
you, Manny.
This
That's
makes the
because
process go
we
smooth,
were
and the funding can be a smooth transition. Amen.
we
And
were bred in the same box.
I'm like,
We were
why
bred
did
at
that
the same
stop?
bread machine.
Why did it stop? Okay. And then we have Michael, without the support of the GM, it will not happen.
Exactly. Comes
And
from the
I
top.
wonder if some of these GMs know, no, I mean, don't take it wrong. I mean, Mr. GM, please. But
That's what I'm
do you
saying. They have all
actually
the
even know
autonomy.
what's going on?
They're letting everyone have their own autonomy. They're turning their blind eye because they don't want to rock the boat. They're afraid of kicking them out or making them opposed to the new process. We don't want to change even 2 seconds in their process because it's going to mess them up. And, they're making us money, so don't rock the boat. But how much money are they not making you? How much more deals could be done in that time if we had smooth, repeatable processes?
So
Matthew says, I
Matthew
don't understand
Dykstra
how the
says,
desk can run deals without F&I experience. When did that change? Oh yeah, it happens all the time.
I don't understand how the desk can run deals without F&I experience. When did that change?
It happens all the time. Yeah.
Where have you been, Matthew? He's in Alaska.
Alaska, my buddy. Yeah.
So we have John Ward. Hey, John, how glad you're on tonight. Right person, right seat, and proper execution of what matters. The entire store must care about the details of this checklist. And I've known
Absolutely.
Mr. John Ward for many, many years, and he and I, at least we don't always agree with everything, but I will tell you this: he understands the importance of making sure we're all on the same page. It's just like it
You
drives
have
me
to be.
nuts. Why is that just that one thing, just the checklist in of
Yeah.
itself? Why can't we do a better job with that? Why are
Exactly.
we allowing that deal? And I guess I am going to say this. I can tell you how often it's like we allow that deal into F&I that one time, but then after that one time, it's another time. It's that blind eye approach. It's like, or the wink or whatever that you get, right? It's like, don't worry about it this time. We gotcha. But
Yep.
those things start adding up. And next thing you
Mhm.
know, you no longer have a process.
It's a lack of control, right? So yeah, you're letting that control slip and now you're getting sloppy. And because that's what happens. For me, I was having this conversation yesterday. If I don't keep myself in check, I get sloppy. I'm not a perfect machine. I can only strive to be. And I have to understand my process is to keep myself in check. And that means kicking the deal back if they don't have the checklist. You have to kick it back. What do you think about that? Kicking it back, not just before you sign it, but even after it's signed. I think the business office should be kicking the deal back if the checklist isn't in the deal too.
So I think we were kind of going there, and then I don't know. We had other feedback, but I think so. So let me tell you something. We had a meeting, high level executive with GM meeting, and everyone agreed. Okay, listen, we have agreed. We are not going to take the deal unless it's straight. We all agreed. Everybody agreed. Handshakes. Everybody was like, high five. It's all going to go down. We're all going to do this. And everybody was like, freaking please. I'm
Yeah.
not kidding you. I am not kidding you. We are not out of that meeting. 15 minutes later, I am in the F&I office, and next thing you know, we have the GSM of all people coming in, and you know what he's saying? You know what, Beck? Here's the deal. We don't have this.
Um,
We don't have that. We don't have this. Maybe that's
that's
better
the
than just
poison right there.
blatantly not have the stuff there. But still, so the director of operations comes in and he's like, wait a second here. Were you not at the same meeting I was in and we all said we got to have our ducks in a row? Quit doing this stuff.
There's always the one that spoils it for the bunch, right? The bad apple. You stick a rotten apple in a box or a bag of ripe, beautiful apples. It's not going to turn the ripe, beautiful apple. It's not going to turn the rotten apple beautiful again. It's going to rot all the other apples. You got to cut it out. Got to get it out of the bag. They
And
poison. They poison the group if you
it's
don't cut it off.
it just I don't know. It just sort of kind of, guys, we can do better than this. We can do better than this.
It has to be
Matthew,
no
at the
tolerance.
end of the day, we have departments that are siloed instead of working as a team.
Mhm.
A good
Yeah.
GSM and F&I director should be on the same page. When
Yeah.
teams synchronize their objectives and standard practice, that's when we thrive.
Yes.
Yeah, amen. I mean,
A
to tell
hundred
you,
percent.
amen, Matthew. I'm glad I'm not the only one here because I come across really kind of like, God, she's kind of a bit, and I don't mean to be. I really don't mean to be. But you guys are making me bang my head up against the wall too many times. I can't take it anymore. It's like, what are we doing? Why is this even allowed? You all want to make more money. You all want to sell more cars. What are you doing? Why would you allow this
Mhm.
shit to continue to happen? What's wrong
Exactly.
with you folks? And
Where's the
I'm
pride in
sorry,
what you
but
do?
I'm a lot more loud than I used to ever be. Maybe it's because of my age. I don't know.
Where's the pride, right? Where's the pride in what we do anymore? Every day I go home and I ask myself as I'm leaving, whether it's my office or wrapping up my day, I'm always asking myself, and I've always done this, what could I have done better? What could I have done different? How could I have overcome that objection better? What if next time I handled it this way? And you know what? Tomorrow I'm starting my day with that mindset, picking up where I left off, improving where I stopped, and making that my start and being better. So now it's a matter of being having ownership over your day, ownership over each and every customer, each and every deal, each and every opportunity, your relationship with the sales guys, your relationship with the desk, your relationship with the GM, everything. It all matters, and it's all a part of how you're going to be your best. You have to
So,
keep improving.
yeah. And it's just, I mean, subprime director as an F&I director must share the deficiencies in the checklist adherence daily to the GM. So one of
Mhm.
the things that Michael, I've gotten to know Michael Baker. I like Michael Baker, man. He is his true. He is, he's been in the industry. He knows his stuff, and he's now somewhat semi-retired in Montana, living the good life in the
I hear
mountains.
it's beautiful there. I have not been yet. I
And
hear
you
it's
live a
gorgeous.
good life on the beach. So I don't really, between the two of you, really.
Come visit.
I mean, you guys got it made in the shade. I'm here in North Carolina. I like North Carolina. It's great. But here's the thing. It's like we have to, really hold everyone accountable to
Mhm.
some of what we're doing. So, like for example, what are we doing with our desking and when it comes to even subprime customers? Now I've everyone has seen a lot of posts on my behalf when it comes to subprime, and look guys, it's 50% of the population and more that have
Mhm.
subprime credit. So why aren't we putting our heads together more and determining, so I hear some of these guys, the GMs, the even corporate F&I directors, we don't get subprime credit, Becky. How is that possible?
It's not. I hear it
Where
too.
are they?
I hear it too. Um, I literally get told we just don't have that demographic. It's just not in this area, regardless where you live. And I've lived in very prominent areas too. I do now. But regardless of where you live, where you're located, there's people with circumstances that make them subprime. There's different times where the banks are taking less, right? They're stricter. So then now what once may have been, you know, prime is now subprime. You have to understand how to be able to help anyone that walks in your door.
I think so too. I think every deal matters. I think, to have that, Beck, we don't just do, we really don't do subprime deals. I mean, we don't do them. I'm like, really? Oh, no, no, I mean, not really, not too much.
I
I
think
go
that's
back into
scary,
the F&I office or I'm at the sales desk. Next thing you know, I'm looking at a 575 FICO score. And I'm like, thought he just said we don't do subprime credit. I don't
it's
know what you
because
make
they don't know
subprime
how to
credit
do the
475.
subprime. They're not doing the deal. That's the thing. Doesn't mean they don't get the customer. They're not doing the
That's a
deal.
problem.
Exactly.
That's a
And
problem that they don't know what's going
Mhm.
on in their own stores,
Absolutely.
that we're
That's
not looking at the right data to
Mhm.
say, do I know what I'm talking about? Not much. Again, I'm not trying to be a smartass, but
Mhm.
do we know what we're talking about? Do we have the right data to say we really don't get subprime? Maybe they're right, maybe they don't. But when you look at those operational reports from Dealer Tracker Route 1, I mean, it's easy enough, I think, that you break it out and you look at deals that you pull, credit pulled versus credit submitted versus deals delivered. And if that doesn't give you a good understanding of the gap of business that you're losing, I don't know what else will. But that's the
Absolutely.
conversation that these guys need to be having. It's like, okay, let's huddle, let's get in, let's look at this data, and you tell me why I'm submitting on average a FICO score, let me just put it out there, 620. But yet our average delivered is at 740.
Exactly.
What's
It's
up with that?
it's the lack of understanding of how to handle the customer, how to handle the deal, how to get them done. You just have to understand how to handle them. And I do believe some dealers don't want that type of business in their showroom. So they know that if they do that deal, that then more of them are going to start coming. The neighbors, the family, the friends, they're going to start coming in. But the thing is, I truly value that deal because taking a few extra minutes with that customer, they'll know the difference the moment they spend time with you, the way you treat them. They're going to see that you are different than the dealers that they've talked to. They won't go anywhere else. Even if they can't buy today, they will, if you show them how they can buy, they will do what you show them. They will take the time, majority of the time, not 100% of the time, but you're going to get those repeat customers. You're going to get the customer for life. And I've witnessed myself where the customer that was the subprime deal came back a year later and was getting approved through Ford Motor Credit. That's not an easy task. And to be able to do that, all because of the few extra minutes I took to share with them what to do to make sure that they understood how to improve their credit. These aren't bad people. These are people that just didn't know better. These are people that didn't have the education that we have being exposed to this industry to understand credit and management of credit and money. But some of it's circumstantial too. What about the guy that makes great money that is dealing with his chemotherapy and had to file bankruptcy to afford his medical bills while he goes through chemo? Maybe he doesn't want his neighbors to know because he does live in that really prominent area, but we have the opportunity to help those people. Those are the people we can make a difference with. And if they're not buying from us, they're buying from someone. It needs to be us. We need to be able to sleep at night knowing we turned every rock and every stone to not only make more money for our families, but for our dealers who we work for, as well as to help every customer.
So you make a valid point. And I think dealers do say that. Like Michael, like luxury franchise lines. And I thought about that today, Michael. I thought about, okay, let's let the high line, luxury line folks off the hook. But little do you know,
Mm-hmm.
I've had major conversations with other F&I folks and Mercedes dealerships where we're getting customers who have a low FICO score with a lot of money down. So they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to say, let's let them off the hook, I get it. But you know what? They're trying to put those deals together because we have customers with thin credit files, different customers coming in from different parts of the world. I mean, we have all kinds of situations going on. And so again, I venture to say, yeah, we have probably a lot more, don't get me wrong, in your domestic and other maybe even import stores. They're there. So why I say that? Years ago, I'm talking when I was a baby.
You're still a baby.
Absolutely. I am a baby. But a long, long time ago, when I was working at a Toyota store in Annapolis, Maryland, right? Annapolis, Maryland, years back, they said, Becky, stop it. We don't have subprime customers here, Becky. It's Annapolis, Maryland. I'm telling you you the truth. This happened. So I put my Wonder Woman outfit on. It's always been about Wonder Woman. And I put it on
Nice
and I said,
visual.
we do subprime credit. Come to find out, I was doing an extra 20 deals a month just on subprime alone in Annapolis, Maryland, at a Toyota dealership, and it was never supposed to happen. We don't do business. That's never going to happen. Subprime customers don't buy cars from us, which is baloney. They
But
do.
to believe.
You've got to have the right process in place, period. End of story. Now, the other was, oh my God, Becky, subprime customers at the Toyota store? Are you kidding me? Oh my God. I don't want the other customers to look at them. Jesus, put a sign
Don't flood
in the
my showroom
building.
with those.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, there are subprime. They're going to look a little funny. And I think that's what dealers think today. They're like, Becky, subprime customers, man, I don't want them coming into my dealership. They're going to look a little weird. That's not true. That's freaking not true. These guys are wearing suits. You couldn't tell one from another today. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I truly believe, I couldn't help but think about this while you were telling your story, is that every one of us, you, me, I'll speak for myself, every one of us are a subprime deal at some point. Even if it was our first deal, my very first time buying a car, I was subprime because nobody would give me a loan up until I finally figured out how to do my own loan.
That's right.
That was my first time buying a car. It was me doing the deal. It was when I was like, oh, I can get this done. Before that, I didn't buy a car.
So let me just say something here. Andrew Pearson says, I'm curious how much more money is made on a subprime deal than a cash deal.
Hmm.
Now, I want everybody to think through that one. That's a good question because or comment.
Yeah.
We cringe on a cash deal. F&I cringes on a cash deal. Oh my God, we got a cash deal. So let me ask you a question. Do we sell products on a cash deal? What should our cash PVR be? Zero?
There's
Zero? I don't think so. Is it 575? Is it $1,000? What is the cash PVR supposed to be in these stores? Well, I got news for you. I go into a couple of these dealerships and I'm like, your cash PVR, it's non-existent.
Mhm.
Is anybody paying attention to cash PVR? We need to. We need
I
to.
truly believe, and I see this take place, they don't offer. And I was thinking about this even outside of the cash deal conversation.
Yeah,
Earlier, this came up in my mind and it slipped, just the conversation didn't go there. But a lot of F&I, they're just not even offering products. And it just baffles me. Why are we not offering every product every time? Why are we picking and choosing who might want to buy what when?
it happens.
You have the opportunity, Mr. Customer, to protect your asset that you're paying cash for, that's going to depreciate, that's going to need these services at some point in time. Let me at least explain to you what it's going to do for you and why it matters and why I see the value here, and give you the opportunity to decide for yourself. And if you decide today it's not correct for you, or you don't want to purchase this today, that's okay. Just know that we can help you with that. You might change your mind. But there should always be at least 3 no's before it's a no, in my opinion. But
I
you
mean,
should,
we should be doing, let me tell you something, well, that's my first that's another one of my focus points. It's like, what are you talking about? We don't want to have a cash PVR. Somebody's doing something not right. We are focusing on everything across the board, come heck or high water. And I got to tell you, I know F&I folks we have taken it from $800 cash PVR to $1,000 cash PVR just by making sure we're presenting offsite. I don't care where that customer is. We're going to present something to somebody. Somebody's going to listen to me somehow, some way. And cash customers buy all the time. But that's a good statement because, again, we're it's easy for a salesperson because the salesperson's taking a cash deal and they're going all day long. I don't have to mess with anything. I don't have to
Mhm.
screw around with anything. I already know that they're going to pay me cash. I make my front end gross and I don't really care what else anybody else does. With that subprime deal, that's a lot different. Next thing you
Mhm.
know, you have all the headaches. They're trying to take their deal up at the desk, and the desk is going, can't you get yourself a real customer? It happens all the time. And the guy goes, what?
Mhm.
Jesus, I've only spent 5 hours, test driving this deal, this customer, and now you're telling me to go get a real customer. Kind of, and so you wonder
They just
why
want to get a deal done.
they're going to go ahead and they're going to
Yeah.
say the minute that customer goes, I got a little slow pay history here. Well, that's fine. We've
Mhm.
got dealerships down the street that will go ahead and take care of that. I'm going to
Yeah.
go find myself a real customer. Does that happen?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. It's like I'm pay
Mhm.
plan has a lot to do with a lot of this too.
Oh,
Ev and
absolutely.
I, right? Ev and I's like,
Absolutely.
you're going to give me a mini deal. I can't do anything with this deal after you have already messed this deal up at the desk. Thanks a lot.
Mhm.
So it muddies the water. And I just had to respond to that comment. I thought that was a really kind of it was an interesting comment that needed to be answered. Mr. Andrew Pearson does anywhere from $8 to $1,200 cash PVR. Fantastic, Andrew. Good guy. Good. He's a good guy. Yeah, he's I kind of know Andrew. Okay, so
Awesome.
last night made 2K on a cash deal. It was a cash
Nice.
deal. This is
Nice.
savant.
Good job.
But here again, it's
That should be the standard. Everybody should be doing that. That's what you should be offering everything every time. The only thing you shouldn't be offering on a cash deal is gap. You should be
right.
offering everything every time because the customer may need it. And it's the ones that you're not offering to that may have wanted to buy it. Why are you choosing who may or may not want to buy products that are going to protect what? I mean, how mad would you be if you found out that something you had to pay hundreds to thousands of dollars for later, you could have paid, maybe an extra $1,000, $2,000 at the time you were purchasing the vehicle and not have the headache later.
Yeah.
It's infuriating to me not giving the customer the opportunity to be educated, to know what their options are. That is our due diligence as professionals. Here's your options. Here's what it will do for you. This is how your experience will be in the event that you have any of these type of situations happen. This is how we are going to be here to help you if you have this coverage. That's our due diligence.
I couldn't agree with you more. I tell you right now, we need, like I said, everybody. Look, you're here's how I look at it. Dealers are paying you some big money. They're putting some. I mean, you're hopefully paid well. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
do what you're supposed to do. I mean, if you don't like it, if you don't want to do it, there's so many other opportunities out there. Go in real estate, go sell timeshares, do something different. But if you're going to be in this, be all in.
All
Don't
in.
just be some of it. I'll
All
do,
in.
you owe me. You don't owe me anything.
Mm-hmm.
You made the decision to be an F&I person.
Mm-hmm.
Be that F&I person. Do the duties and response. And I know it's like, Becky, but you don't know. I do know. I've been there. I was an F&I platform director. I've been in the stores. You don't get
Mm-hmm.
up, you don't go out, you don't review the information, you do your due diligence. Customer comes back, it happens all the time, and the deal is totally screwed up. It's your
Mm-hmm.
fault. Your fault. Desk
Absolutely.
needs to do their due diligence, and they need to make sure that, again, they hold themselves accountable to make sure that that deal is straight before they hand it off
Mhm.
to a F&I person. Oh, let me tell you. And
And
making sure that we're doing we're doing presentations, whether it be a salesperson presentation 100% of the time, all the time. And Ev and I, 100% all the time.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
No, I'm very passionate about the business as well. So I just am right there with you. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I was
I get it
thinking
crazy.
how much of it is a how much of it is a lack of competence?
There's a lot of incompetence that's allowed, and it's got to stop. Jason, Becky, don't tell Ashley I love you. I love you, Ashley. I love you, Jason. Good folks here. Let me tell you, these are the best folks in the world. I
Oh,
love these two like there's no tomorrow. You know
I
that.
love that.
You know that, Jason, right? You hope you do. And I sure as heck love that, Ashley. Um, Pay plan with a shared pool helps keep everyone even playing field.
Yes, Manny.
I like that. I love that.
Oh.
I think dealers need to review their pay plans and,
Mhm.
at least understand what it's doing, right? To be able to push an initiative, to be able to endorse a behavior,
Common
whatever
goals.
that behavior is.
Mhm.
I
Yep,
mean, I believe that folks work a pay plan.
absolutely.
Do you believe that?
I think so too. They're the ones
They
I
know
think
what it is.
the good ones that
Yeah.
are aggressive enough, that are taking ownership, that are creating competency to understand the ins and outs of each product and insurance opportunity that they're offering. Every single thing on every single customer, every single time, you build that endurance, you build that strength, that knowledge, that competency, which allows you to then really become that aggressive shark in the tank. You know what I mean? You need to capitalize on the opportunities you have with the customers that are in front of you, with the pay plan you're given.
So here's so here's and first of all, yeah, Jason, we have to love every single customer. One thing I can always say is a repeat customer is the best customer.
Yeah,
They're like love they love you, they've enjoyed the experience, they're back for more. Okay. But
and they
we
do,
got to get there first. And that
and they
means some of the subprime stuff, guys. I know we lose the idea behind it. And it's important to realize that incremental business too is our best business, right?
do.
We lose focus, is what I meant to say, on that subprime. And I think it's every deal, every time. It doesn't matter. What can we do to figure out better ways to make this stuff come together? And now, Andrew, okay, I spiff sales and service out of my own pocket. What do you think about that?
Oh, as F and I. Wow.
As an F&I person, he's
Mm.
spiffing salespeople and service and I know that he does. I know he does. And
I'm I'm wondering, is the spiff to bring the deal? Is the spiff to, just reach that achievement for the day? What is the spiffs for?
he's spiffing the sales and service department if the customer purchases a service contract from him.
Okay.
And um, and so they do a little bit better job when it comes to um, the TO. Let's
That's a
see.
good
PSC
yeah,
customer standalone. Yeah, there it is.
it's a
Yeah, I
good
thought
way
so.
I like that. It's a good way to, of course, get that penetration, but it's also a good way to give them that shared, like Manny said earlier, you're sharing that pool somewhat, right? Getting them to have
Sure.
that incentive.
Yeah.
It's same concept, you know, too bad it's out of your own pocket and the store isn't participating in that, because how much more, gross and bottom line could be increased if the store participated in that sort of activity.
Well,
But
again,
kudos to Andrew
I
for
I
that.
I feel so years ago. Talk about, and I don't know if Matthew Dykstra is still on or not. I know he's in Alaska and he's got things to do. It's 11 o'clock there. during the day. It's 12 o'clock at lunchtime. It's so funny, the time. But years ago, when I was working for this Cadillac store, I got a really crazy pay plan. My pay plan was based off of service contracts sold. And the more service contracts I sold, the more I was paid. The percentage was I was paid more on the percentage amount of the amount financed, right? The percentage, higher the percentage of the amount financed. I'm like, this is too freaking easy. I'm like, I got this figured out. What do you think I did? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I swear I'm not.
What was the question?
So the question is,
Why do I think
I got paid on a service no, I got paid. The way I got paid was a higher penetration, a higher penetration of vehicle service contract paid me more on the percentage of my pot of income I produced.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. That's your
the vehicle service contract. If the more I sold, the higher the penetration of income. So I said, I got this figured out. This is too easy. What do you think I did?
As far as your penetration?
What did I do to go ahead and get more penetration?
Okay. Were you
I guess other
spiffing?
than traditional, doing the best that, doing what I do best and closing those deals, but I had to get
Outside of that,
vehicle service contracts.
outside of that, were you doing what Andrew was saying he does, the spiffing?
Exactly. So I went to the service department and I'm like, guys, I got to tell you something. Here we go. I'm going to pay you $75, whatever it was at the time, $50, $75 on every service contract that cost you help me. So
yeah,
and you know what?
Why wouldn't they? It's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for you and your pay plan. It's a win for them for the cash in their pocket for the day. And it's a win for the customer to have the coverage they need. Why wouldn't
it is a win-win? But you would think it was like, Becky, how are you getting 75% service contract penetration? I'm like, that's freaking easy. And here again, I talk to other F&I folks and I'm like, guys, let's think about this. If you were to go ahead, go spiff your service manager on TOs for vehicle service contracts, imagine what that would do to your pay plan. You put in a couple extra of those policies per month. That's gonna add up quickly.
Yes.
So some folks get it, some folks don't. And obviously this one, Andrew, my last dealership, I had 3 VSEs sold from service, walking the customer to my office in one day.
Wow. That's good. It's a good day.
It's
a very good day.
It happens. But you got to, here's the thing. It's really, you got to take the initiative.
It's the initiative. It's also the buy-in from the others. It's the willingness to just do it, not be lazy.
It's just to do it and just say, hey, I don't understand. So now we have companies, Pauldron, other companies that are saying, okay, you don't want to do it. We're going to do it for you. We have the tech now to be able to get vehicle service contracts in front of customers, and we're going to make this super easy. That's okay. And, years ago, I come up with a very similar idea because I'm like, I'm tired of banging my head up against the wall. I talk about this all the time and nobody does anything about it. Let's just automate this deal. Now you have Pauldron. Now you have, he's going to shoot me, Steve Apicella, DX Strategies, DX. Don't shoot me, Steve. But and it is a way to streamline that entire process, utilizing an app to avoid all of it. Just get it back in front of the customer. Customer can go ahead, decide if they didn't take advantage of a service contract at time of sale. Service contracts, is now made available to a customer via an app during their ownership period. Okay.
Pauldron is a really great tool. I feel like every dealer needs to have that and participate in that. And even organizations outside of dealers that participate in insurance and any sort of, product contracts, things like that, they really should be participating in Pauldron and looking into them. I'm blown away with what Matthew's done with building out that platform. And I feel like anyone that's not jumping on that resource is going to miss out and fall behind and wish they had sooner.
Well, that's what it's all about. It's like, how do we get back in front of the customer if we're not willing to do so at the dealership, right? I mean, it'll do it for you. So, let's see, transfer of trust should be mandatory training. I always produce the highest F&I because I handled my customers giving 100%. So it's so important to learn to pass the ball. I feel sorry for those that don't practice, throw, and catch. Yeah, I'm with you.
True.
Excuse me. I am so with you, Jason. And that's what we have to learn. We have to get back to that. We just have to get back to the basics. And then we've got good old $50 per VSC. I pay them for the same day. Good for you, Andrew. Very good job. Very good job. And
he's promoting to his sales and service advisors right now, making sure they remember, come to me so I can pay you.
It's either you take the ball by the hand or the dealer's going to take the ball by the hand. There's other services out there that is going to automate this for the dealer. We need to do a better job getting in front of that customer after sale if they didn't purchase a service contract or any other product for that much matter. Yes, we need to automate that, make it simple. But again, if you have folks like Andrew that's taking advantage of it, so be it.
Well, and there's still going to be the few that it sounds like Andrew does a really great job of the diligence of making sure that he maximizes his opportunities and the awareness to the customers. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But there's still going to be the customers that want to think about it, that later, as they're thinking about it, when they receive that notification from something, say like Pauldron, they now have the opportunity to purchase later and from the comfort of their couch at home. You know what?
Well,
Andrew did tell me a great
talking about is he's getting customers coming in from service after the fact.
Right.
And the same thing. Again, I like Pauldron in that it's automating that because dealers don't have Andrews, right? They don't have that. They're not doing anything with that. So Pauldron is doing that for you. So if you don't have that kind of process in the store, then absolutely all day long, I agree with you. I think that's when let's check the box.
Right. I was referring to the ones that still, yes, he gets the ones that are brought to him, but then not everybody's brought to him. There's going to be one. Okay, right. Okay. So there's still opportunity later.
Yeah, for those customers that aren't necessarily coming in and okay, that's fair.
Or that were in front of him the first time that didn't buy, that maybe aren't in for service being brought to him later. There's still that opportunity.
Yeah, plenty of stuff going on there. But I don't want to take away from that F&I person who is doing their due diligence be able to push that back into an F&I office. Few and far between dealer F&I people do it. Don't get me wrong. We practiced. We talked about it. Matthews and I've talked about it a million times. It's like we've talked about it until you're banging your head up against the wall. And you find out, hey, let's just do this. Let's just make this happen. And he does. He has a phenomenal, he's not only a good guy, he is he knows his stuff inside and out. Matthew is a very polished, also F&I professional. I've gotten to know over the years, and I couldn't agree with you.
He's a good friend too.
Yeah, he's really
a good friend, a good person, and has built a phenomenal platform. I've really attempted to introduce it to so many people, and I need to be better about that. But that's what I like to do. I like to bring resources to people that I know. When I see something in the market that's a differentiator, that's a game changer, I love to share it. I love to tell people
Well,
about
I
it. So
think
I love that we're talking about this.
I think that's great. And we gotta, to wrap things up, um, I know we went way over than what we did, well over.
We
Um,
always do that when we talk.
yeah,
It's just so
I'm
good to
sorry,
talk to
guys.
you.
So, but to wrap things up, what would you say? What would you say? For our dealers and viewers, as it pertains to, really putting a process in place that everybody can stick to and manage.
We touched a lot on it, right?
Yeah.
Getting
Or
stepping
just sum
back.
it up. Yeah.
Yeah, stepping back, thinking of from the time the customer gets on your lot, from the time they show up to the time they walk through your door, to the time you're going on a talking to them, having that conversation about what they're there for that day, what their goals are, what they're seeking to accomplish, building that rapport, to when you're doing the test drive, to when, every step of the way from the time they drive on your lot to the time you're delivering the vehicle, to also even what you do with the dead deals, following up. Dealers do not even focus on dead deals. They focus on
That's
the
another
deals.
one.
They
Jeez.
they
Yeah.
focus on the deals that didn't buy here recently. What about the deals that it didn't buy 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago? Did you know that? I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but when I sold cars, 100% of them were done out of the dead deal boxes before
That's so
service.
impressive. That
Never took a single up.
that is another revenue maker right there. Amen,
I
girl. I
swear by
mean,
it.
yes, 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 yes.
Because their credit may be different now. Maybe they wanted to buy but just didn't have the proper guidance.
Hmm.
Maybe they have more money now. Maybe
Yep.
they have more, maybe they make more money now. There's so many situations. Maybe they have a cosigner now. There's so many circumstances that make those dead deals still vital, and that is marketing and material that belongs to you, that you paid for initially at some point, that can still be feeding you and can be paying for itself later if you just would work the old deals. So, what are we doing from the time that customer shows up on the lot or when they call? How are we handling the phone call when they call in to inquire? BDC. A lot of dealers don't have BDCs anymore, but how are we handling them as if we do? How are we taking that phone call? I mean, we need to step back. We need to look at each piece of the process and dissect it within itself and look at how to truly handle that. When you were at your absolute best, how did you really handle that piece of it and make that entire chain into your process, start to finish? That needs to be what you implement in your stores, because the customers will see the difference. They'll know the difference. They'll believe in you, they'll trust you, they'll buy from you, they'll become a lifelong buyer, they'll always repeat and come back. You just have to be willing to slow down to speed up.
Amen.
Slowing down, pulling back the reins, perfecting the process, becoming better, then you're going to be running the race and winning the race. But you can't get there by not practicing and slowing down and working with your trainer.
I think so too. I think, you got to take the bull by the horn, and you have to, again, you got to inspect what you expect,
Mhm.
and you got to hold folks to feet to the ground. I mean, you got to hold, yeah, feet to the ground. You got to hold these guys accountable, right? Make sure, are we doing what we say that we're supposed to be doing? Like these save a deal meetings, guys, if you do anything, make sure, you really get in there and find out what the heck's going on.
Yeah,
And, we're not getting
absolutely.
deals done. Why aren't we getting deals done? I'm telling
Mhm.
you that those dead deals, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I could do a complete show on just dead deals. I mean, to
Me
tell you, I that that's a kick, and you know what? It just blows me away. Where do when heard some of these dead deals. Oh, well, we just pitch them someplace, and God knows where they're at. I mean, we don't follow them away like we're supposed to. They need to be scanned, put in a place where they're protected, right? And for the next 3 to 5 years. So none of I mean, that in of itself is a eye-opening. Open up the can of worms on this one. But yeah, there's so much opportunity with that. There's so much there. So,
and you know what?
Hmm?
Oh, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead. Go.
I was just thinking about with the dead deal conversation when I really skyrocketed in my sales versus the rest of the sales team was through the lull, right? We have the ebbs and flows of the business. We have the high months, the low months. During the low month is when I maintained my sales and my consistency because I just kept repeating my same process. And by doing that, I rose to the top and was actually far exceeding everybody else to the point that they were sitting around wondering what I was doing, having conversations about it. What is she doing? How is she getting business? I never took a single up the entire time I sold. And I was baffled. Why did they not understand what I was doing? I was doing it in front of them. I was on the phone. I was bringing the business to me. I wasn't sitting back with my feet propped up on the desk, twiddling my thumbs, talking about the game the night before or what they were going to do tonight, like the rest of them. I stayed on the phone. I was hungry. I had to take home a paycheck that week. So
maybe people need to get a little bit more hungry. I don't know, but it just seems that, some of these best practices, whatever you want to call it, I just think these idea strategies, do what you can to impact, your sales and performance. I just do. Don't take deals for granted. Don't take that customer for granted. Do what you say. You've been trained to do this. I mean, I know that you've been trained to do it. You chose not to do it. The dealers are sending most of their folks, not all of them, and they should be. We need to do a better job onboarding these folks. I mean, much better job. We need to do a roadmap. They need to have duties and responsibilities. They need to understand their roles explicitly. They need to understand this without a doubt. And they need to know the lay of the land. What is my expectations? And
yes.
We got to inspect what we expect. And otherwise, this is what you get. This is exactly what you get. And
you have to have a standard.
Yeah,
if you don't have a standard, you have to have a standard and make it seamless. Everybody's doing it. You may have a different style. You may have a different look. You may not be identical people, but you can have the same process and you can be professionals.
I just, I think, right. Let's everyone work together, synergy, let's have an ecosystem within the dealership. Let's be outside of these silos. Let's all work customer centric. Let's be centric. Let's make sure that we're all supporting one another. Two heads are always better than one. And let's help each other to maximize sales and profit. But anyway, so I know we've gone way over.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
It's been so much fun, and you were absolutely terrific to have on the my live talk. So I'm so thankful that you were able to make it tonight, and this was a lot of fun. So, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
For being on tonight. We really had a good time, and I hope to again maybe bring you back on soon.
I would love that. Please, anytime, let me know.
I will. Thank you. Thank you again, guys. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you.